Okay. Let's go directly into the psukim. Here. Vayomer Hashem al Moshe. Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, Emor el Kohanim. Say to the Kohanim. In Parashas Kedoshim, it says Daber al Bnei Israel. Speak, which is a harsher language, to be Kaddish. But to the Kohanim, we're going to see here, it says Emor el Kohanim. Say to the Kohanim, who are they? Bnei Ahar, the children of Ahar. Very, very interesting language. In the whole entire Torah, it says Bnei Aharon HaKohanim. That's the only time we're going to find inverted. HaKohanim Bnei Aharon. The Kohanim, so basically almost if the noun is Kohanim, and the adjective is Bnei Aharon. Like he wants to emphasize here, we're going to see in this shir the position, the function of the Kohen in the Klal Yisrael. Because the Klal Yisrael is composed by three parties. Kohen, Levi, Yisrael. If you take the first letter of each one, Kohen is Chaf, Levi is Lamed, Yisrael is Yud. Together, it's Kli. When these three parties are together, then we have a Kli to receive the Shefa and the Bracha from Shammai. But here, it seems that there's another message, that the message to the Kohen to understand his function in Klal Yisrael, besides that function of being a Kli. And we have to understand why, if you come to tell me that the tzivui, the order here, it's to be Kaddish, this we've heard already in Parshas Kedoshim. We learned last week, and we brought the Midrash, that the Parshas Kedoshim was said behakhel. In other words, it was said with all Bnei Israel present, and this is a tzivui that equals to everyone. Being Kaddish, doing Shabbos, it's equal to every Jew. So why do we have to come back here in Parashas Emor and say to the Kohanim that there must be Kedoshim? They've heard already that that order. They're not any different than any other Jew. So let's keep on with the pasuk. Emor la Kohanim bnei Aharon. So we're going to stay with the question why it's inverted. Ve'omato aleihem, and you will tell them. But you already say Emor la Kohanim. Tell me, what do I have to say? No, and you will tell them. So all the Mefarshim ask, what is Emor ve'omato? We'll see from the Midrash. Every time these two follow each other, when you have two sayings following each other, automatically there's a drush here. We're going to see what it is. Lenefesh lo yitama be'amor. I almost want to say, I cannot translate that part. Lenefesh, the nefesh. What's alive never dies. What's dead never leaves. Lenefesh, lemes. Someone who's dead, you're not allowed to be tamei. Nefesh lives forever. Nefesh is something spiritual. It doesn't become tamei after death. It becomes tamei with a chet. So what it means here, lenefesh lo yitama beyama. By the Kohen Gadol later in the Parasha, he says, ulnafshois meis lo yitama. I understand, or at least over there, you know, mention the mace. But here, we're not mentioning the mace. It's lenefesh. To a nefesh, he's not allowed to defile himself. But he's not defiling himself when he goes after a nefesh. What's be'amar? in his nation. What else do you think? He's going to go to the Goyim? After that, Kim Lishera Karve Love, I'm not going to touch this, so I'm not going to say in that pasuk. We're going to expand a little bit this pasuk. Lo yitama baal be'amav lehei chalu. So here we say lenefesh lo yitama be'amav. Here we have a different version. Lo yitama baal be'amav. Who's the baal? I don't understand. So the husband should not become tame in his nation to lehei chalu. It's from the lashon chilul, to defile, to desecrate. Desecrate what? Okay, I'm jumping your pasuk. Kedoshim yihiu lelohehem. They have to be to remain kedoshim to their God. By Bnei Israel, it says kedoshim tihiu. Here, it doesn't say kedoshim yihiu simply. No, lelohehem, to their God. Velo yechalelu shem Elohehem, and they cannot desecrate the name of their God. If they're holy, they cannot desecrate. If they desecrate, they're not holy. This klal in the Torah, it's called miklalav atoshemeyahem. If I tell you something negative, automatically the positive you understand. If I tell you something positive exclusively, I said do only this, it means don't do the opposite. So you don't have to teach me both ways of the matter. One of it would have been sufficient. We're not going to arrive here. Ki esishe Hashem lechem Elohehem makrivim. Why do I request that they shall be kedoshim? It's because the fires of Hashem, which is the bread of the God, hem makrivim, they bring to the mizbeach. What the heck? What? They have to be Kodesh because they are banim of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like it says to Bnei Israel, Kedoshim tiyu ki Kodesh ani. If you want a relationship with me, you better be Kodesh. But here by the Kohanim, he gives us a whole tumult words, a lot of words that don't make sense when you try to put them together. Makes no sense. Ki es ishe Hashem lechem Elokeim hem makrivim. That the fire of Hashem, the bread of God, of their God, they bring to the Mizbeach. Vehayu kodesh. Now they have to be not kodesh, but kodesh. What's this notion here? Kodesh, kodesh, playing with words. I mean, at the end of the day, the whole. Understandably, just to resume in a short manner, the main problem we have here is we just come out of a parasha which banged us very hard about the necessity to be Kodesh. There were all the Bnei Israel standing. Kohanim, Leviim, Israelim. Everybody was there. Everybody heard the order of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everybody. When Hashem said, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, he didn't repeat it for Israel, then for the Kohanim, then for the Leviim. So why about the Kedusha, despite the fact the Kohanim were present when this mitzvah was given, we have to repeat it again here. And why do we have to repeat it in the Sharabia that makes no sense? Try to translate those words. All the mefarshim, they all fight to try to make sense in here. And very hard things have been said. I mean, because it comes to a point you can't explain it. These words don't belong one next to another, period. That's the way it is. And the second major question we asked is, if you're talking about defilement, if you're talking about tumah here, then you should say lemes. A mace, a dead person, he defiles. A nefesh does not defile. And by the way, I dare you to show me the word tumah in the whole Parasha besides one place, by his sister. Not about his father, not about his mother, not about his brother. It doesn't say the word tumah there. Only by his sister. So what are we talking about here? Are we telling him you cannot defile yourself with a dead person because this affects the kedusha of the Kohen? In that case, I have a very big problem. Why you make exceptions? Why? The tumah of his father, or the tumah of his mother, or the tumah of his brother don't defile his kedusha also? So if his kedusha is so high, so special, that you have to prevent him from defiling himself, touching a dead person, in that case, you have to, like the Kohen Gadol, even for his father, even for his mother, he cannot defile himself because his kedusha is so special. So what is intermittent things here, you know? You're not here, but you're not there. You're not exactly permitted like a Yisrael to defile yourself for a mace, but you are permitted for your father, your mother, this. What's the difference? What's the norm? What's the logic behind this? But you're not neither like a Kohen Gadol, because the Kohen Gadol cannot defile himself for no one besides a mace mitzvah. Very interesting concept here, and the pasuk doesn't seem to give us a lot of light, or maybe it is somewhere behind the words, behind those words that don't add up together, and that's the reason they don't add up, because the pasuk wants to hint us a very strong message. But we need to start in the first round. Who is that Kohen? Remember, it says v'kidashtoi. There is a mitzvah aseh midoraisa. In other words, this is a mitzvah from the Torah to respect the Kohen and to let him be first in everything. On the table, when in shul, that's why he goes first to the Torah, because of the Gzeras HaKasu v'kidashtoi. It's Mekadesh the Kohen when the Bnei Yisrael give him the first role. So obviously we see the Kohen has something, he leads. He's a leader. Question is, what kind of leader? What is his mission? What is he accomplishing in Klal Yisrael? What's the accomplishment the Torah requests from the Kohen in order to withhold together the Klal Yisrael? That's going to be the first part of the shir. The rest we'll see on Shabbos, B'ez Hashem, as usual. And it's already we're going to start at the beginning, just struggling with because I want to show you, despite that, I know you trust me, I want to show you the different approaches that, even from the Zohar, that are very hard to understand. In the Pshat, it's almost impossible to put this in the words. And we're going to have to use different Zohar in order to come up and build a full comprehension of what Moshe did and why HaKadosh Baruch Hu told him to do it specifically that way. First pshat in the Zohar comes from Rabbi Yosef. Says, why do we need to repeat here? Or why do we need to reorder the Kohanim to be Kodesh? He says, look at the last pasuk of the previous Parsha. The last pasuk of the previous Parsha speaks about Isha ki yebahem oiv oideoini. A man or a woman in Bnei Israel that do witchcraft, sorcery, so which is a tremendous issur, and it brings a lot of tumor. Because we ended up the Parsha that way, so we had to remember to remind the Kohanim, because we speak about them, that they have to be holy. Because there is already a gap between the beginning of Parshas Kedoshim, where we were ordered to be holy, to now the beginning of Parshas Emor, when we talk about the Kohanim, and in the meantime, there's a big tumor, the tumor of sorcery. Therefore, the Torah wanted to remind us that that they must be holy. Because before we spoke about Israel, that even the Kohanim have a chiyuv to be holy. I mean, there are so many ways to I almost want to say to inflict damages to that pshat, that I don't think Chaz Hashem, that I don't respect anything the Zohar brings and Tanaim Agdoishim are saying, but I'm saying that the path we want to take is definitely not that pshat, because it doesn't make sense. Are you telling me, in other words, that Bnei Israel are more stringent than a Kohen? Because the last Parasha is a Jew, a regular Jew, a regular Ben Israel, is also in sorcery. And first pasuk of this Parasha, Kohanim have to be kedoshim; they cannot touch dead. In other words, a dead, the tumor of mace of a dead is more stringent than the tumor of sorcery. So Bnei Israel are forbidden of sorcery. Kohen is forbidden of mace. So Israel is more chashuv than a Kohen. I know it's not like this, but it definitely it's definitely challenging, to try to explain that it correlates to the last pasuk of last parasha. No, the Torah here wants to give a specific tzivui to the Kohanim to be kedoshim. For what reason? We'll see. Tanchuma also, the Midrash Tanchuma felt Tanaim. I mean, I'm telling you, these are Tanaim. I didn't bring also confronted that problem, and it says that we are not talking about this time, meaning during the 6,000 years of this world. We're talking after, when there's not going to be death. So the pasuk is telling the Kohanim they won't need anymore to become Tomei. Are you listening me well here? Because you're probably jumping on your seats right now. In other words, the Midrash Tanchuma said that we are talking after Mashiach. We are not, this tzivui doesn't apply to today. Interesting. So why not all the tzivuim for after Mashiach were mentioned in the Torah? So you want to tell me that the first tzivui of the Parsha refers to after Mashiach, but while the second one refers to now, of Kedoshim Tiyu. First you have Lenefesh Lo Yitama Be'amal, that the Kohen is not allowed to defile himself. And then you have the mitzvah of Kedoshim. Since when we going to talk about after Mashiach before we talk before Mashiach, of the mitzvah before Mashiach? This is mind-boggling. The Sifsei Kohen, the Tanya of the Aliyah Kodesh, wants to deduct things in this midrash, but again, it's really the pasuk is already difficult enough. It's going to be very hard to make a pshat in Avad. It's a big mitzvah to make a pshat in the word of the Tanaim. But here in this year, we are just limited in time. We are limited in everything. So we have to focus on a path which is wide enough and fits in the words of the pasuk. And then with that, we would like to answer the question, see that if this is the path, and if that can answer all our questions. First, let's go back to the psukim and let's get practical. I'm going to focus basically from now on here because I know where the trigger is. This pasuk is the trigger. Lenef. No, sorry. I'm on the wrong one. This is where we should be able to find the light. Lenefesh lo yitama be'amov. If we look simple, first, let's break the ice. Let's go our way. It doesn't say lemeis. We understand that. Now we deal with what we have. Lenefesh lo yitama be'amov. Very interesting. If we take the word nefesh in full, nun, shin, no, nun, pe, shin. This equals 551. We are not talking about a body. I know now, when it says lenefesh lo itama, it doesn't mean, all the kvetches people want to make a nefesh that had left the body, but we are talking about the body. No, we're talking about a nefesh. The proof is the gematria of this pasuk lenefesh lo itama be'amav. It comes in nefesh in full, meaning the Kohen is responsible for all the attributes of all the nefashos of the Bnei Yisrael in general. In other words, somehow he will be ordered to be extra careful about his Kedusha, because his Kedusha maintains, revives, whatever term you want to use in here, the nefashos completely, because it's in middle, the nefashos of the Bnei Israel. How? We don't know. We just have a pasuk and it comes out. But it comes out to something else also, which is very triggering. This is a very well-known name in the Zohar. Whenever we say Sam Amaves, and we're going to see it in our Parasha, in the Zohar in our Parasha. Sam Amaves, it's the lily. She's a Malach Amaves. Why we call her Sam Amaves is because before she takes someone from this world, she spits in his mouth. And we say it's bitter, and exactly like it's a poison. She spits a poison in the mouth of the person. So how we saw last week a lot, and especially for those who wear Shabbos at the Shir, we saw that right before a person departs, I mean, within the 30 days, he sees her. At the beginning, he's going to see her as a lady dressed in black. And he will start seeing these malachim that start writing before him all his deeds and all the words he said in his lifetime. And sometime the Malach HaMaves will appear to him with this true appearance, which means full of eyes, and he fears. And this is how we know when, because they're not allowed to talk. So this is how we know that these people are on the jetway, ready to take off from this world, because the signs are there. So when she appears, when it's time, and the person at that moment, remember, the Shekhinah appears also, and the Neshama thinks that she's going to go, even though it's a Rasha, she will go and attach herself with the Shekhinah, so happy she goes out. But the truth is, what I didn't tell you last week, I told you he fears, and his jaw drops down. And everybody goes like this. When she tries to scare, she scares a lot. And at that point, she spits in the mouth, and the poison is there, and this is how the person departs this world. Very few people are zoiche not to die through the Malach HaMaves. There should be a hero saying that we should be the one. So we see that we have the Malach HaMaves involved. We have the Kohen. So now we see the cards we have in our hand. We have our Kohen, we have our Yisrael, and we have a Nefesh. The Nefesh of the Ben Yisrael in the middle. Kedusha to the extreme, the Kohen. Tuma to the extreme, the Malach HaMaves. And the Yisrael in the middle. What is the correlation to all this? The Sefer Yetzirah, the Sefer of Avraham Avinu, he writes, it's a very famous, it's very hard to explain. The Sefer Yetzirah has some sayings that you got to understand. There's no word that can really encompass the machshava, the thought, the kavana, the intention behind those words. But I'm going to try my best. In the third parak, it brings down all the Mishnayos there. Some call it the Bava. There's different, the one of the Sefer Yetzirah of the Gra is not the same as the Sefer Yetzirah. The different orders. It's the same Torah. It says the same words, but with a different order. So let me tell you, we had, this is a Sefer that's over 3,500 years old. Why did Avraham wrote it? Because he saw that by the end of time, Bnei Yisrael will be very shvach, and in order to keep them attached to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he revealed a lot of secrets. So he says there are 3 amos. It's an arm length in this world, and it's called, we call it the Emesh, Aleph Mem Shin, which goes for Esh Mayim Ruach, the 3 fundamental components. And we're not talking about dirt, Afar. It's only Emesh, always goes for Esh Mayim and Ruach. And he explained that they're like a scale. On one side, you have the schus. On one side, you have the choiv. And in the middle is the one that tells you where is the scale, the right side goes, or where the left side wins. So this is what Eshmaim Ruach. Eshmaim are two opposites. They're the two scales. Maim is in Chesed. Esh is in Gvura. Two opposites. One wants din, wants, and the other one says no. How can you have din? People always find excuses for people and always wants to forgive. And the Ruach will follow the winner, show us which one wins. That's it. These three amos on which the world is built, those who come to the Shir on Shabbos know already what I'm going to say, but for the others, I'm going to repeat. These are the three lines coming. If you don't remember, I'm going to show it to you. So we have 10 spheres divided in series like this. We have one line with three. Chesed, the side of Chesed is called Chachen, Ches for Chochma, Ches for Chesed, Nun for Netzach, Baga, Base for Bina, Gimel for Gvura, Hey for Hoid, that's the left. And in the middle, we have also 3 plus 1, the Malchus, which is the one that's not fully attached. All of them are attached. You have Keser, Tiferes, Yesoid. Why Das is not counted? Sometimes because it's behind of the Rosh, not behind the head, not in the forefront. And here we only mentioning the spheres of the forefront of a person, of Shamayim, whatever. Some say because this Das is really the Tiferes that goes up in between here or between these two. So the Tiferes sometimes is the call, is the line between Chochmah and Bina. At that time it would be called Das. And so there are many pshatim, but here we stand with what we have in front of us. So we have 3 lines. Mayim to the right, Esh to the left, and the Ruach in the center. And the one missing, we said, it's the afar, the body. So we're really not talking about a body, because otherwise we would need the afar. And over there, he explains what was created with these 3 components, with the 3 letters, Aleph, Mem, Shin, and so forth. So in the whole parak, he talks only about this. But what's striking is if we take, okay, so that was what he says, Emesh, like this. If we take Aleph, Mem, Shin, equals exactly 551, equal Nefesh in 4. In other words, the Nefesh of a person is composed by those 3 lines also. You can't tell a person, I'm only going to give you a chesed. You don't tell a grown-up, I'm only going to feed you milk like a baby. No, he needs the meat too, and he needs vegetable. That's the difference between a baby and someone, an adult, that has grown up and now has to adapt his diet to his age. He cannot stay on the milk forever. But we see this is at the foundation of the whole entire world. The Kohen, and who's there? The Kohen. In other words, the Kohen, the whole existence, perenity of this world relies on the Kohen. I'm gonna have to prove this, but that's what it looks like, from our perspective right now. The Rishis Chochmah, the Talmid of the Ramak, Zecher Tzadik V'Kodesh Livracha, who was also the Talmid of the Ramak, maybe, but the Ramak was also the Rebbe of the Ari HaKadosh. So we are in the 1500s right here. Gives a very fundamental yesod that's going to enable us to understand more and to take it to the next station and then grow up our understanding. The pasuk says, "Ki lo al alechem levadoi yichyeh ha'adam." The person cannot exist only on bread. Ki al kol motza pi Hashem, but on motza pi Hashem, on the words that came out of the mouth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, yichyeh ha'adam. On this he can live forever. In other words, the Zohar explains there that as long as the Shekhinah remains on top of a person, as long as he has, as we explained Shabbos, the Tselem Elohikim, he has this Tselem, what it says on the Tselem, Yud, Yud Vav Dalet, Hey, Hey Aleph, Vav, Vav Aleph, Vav, Hey Aleph, the Shem of the Olam HaYetzirah. As long as he has this with him, as he has the Shekhinah, he remains alive. As soon as the Shekhinah moves away from him, he's dead. Someone who eats on Yom Kippur, what is the Pasuk saying? What's the oinish? What's the punishment? V'nichresa hanefesh ha'i. It doesn't say ha'ish hahu. It says hanefesh ha'i. This soul. What? You're going to kill the soul? The soul never dies. So who do you want to kill here? Kill the person. If the person is chayav misa, then okay, take him and, lapidate him, like on Shabbos, the one who's mechal Shabbos. He's chayav on arayis. The one who's over chad v'sham on arayis, he's chayav either with a sword, being hanged, all kind of death. But what he means lenefesh here? Says the Zohar HaKadosh that Reshaim b'chayeyem kruyim meisim. That the Reshaim in their life, during their lifetime, they call dead. Why they call dead? Because the tumor is in them. And this is something we touched last week, the week before in Parashat Achrei, and today I have the opportunity to explain it to you fully. Why is HaKadosh Baruch Hu asking us to do mitzvahs? Not because he really cares about what we do. He doesn't need anything. The Oyer Ein Sof is beyond, it's unimaginable. We can't even add anything to it. It's full to the fullest. So what are we really doing in this world? We are fighting the evil penchant to do bad. Why? Because we want to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu that despite that our eyes and our head cannot wrap around this whole inyan of existence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, being everywhere in the world, but we are believers. We believe those words. And therefore we refrain ourselves from sinning and from adding Tuma in this world, which this Zohar says, it's in Parshas Naso Yikuf Chav Gimel Amud Aleph. When the Sam HaMaves, that's called the Tuma, Nevela, Psula, Malach HaMaves, Choshech HaFeila, whichever bad name, bad adjective you have, don't worry, it's not bad, it's her name. That's her name. Wherever she is, the Shechina cannot be. Wherever the Shechina is, this one cannot be. Who defines? So we had Esh, Mayim, the Ruach. Ruach is also part of the Nefesh. It's also a Nefesh. Sometimes we call everything a Neshama, sometimes we call everything a Nefesh, but here it's the Nefesh because it's one inside the other, boom, boom, boom. So you can call it by the external Kli, it's also right. And this is what we're talking about here. Where do we go? Hashem asked the person, look, we are in this situation. Where do we go? We said on the Shabbos Shir that everything is mathematical in this world. You have exactly mathematics. You have a straight horizontal line called the X's. You have a vertical line called the Y's. And a person, Hashem sends nisyonos not to test the person, not to make him suffer, but to show him it's time for him. There's a place higher ready for him, and he has to move, take his stuff and move up. As soon as he's going to move up, he's going to realize that the nisyonos have disappeared. So the nisyonos are only a reminder to get on the move. Like when the Bnei Yisrael, the Anan was moving, they knew they had to travel, so they were packing and get ready on their way. When a person sees the nisyonos, he has to know he has to get ready on his way. Okay. I see any sign, but the guy didn't go up. He was on the line of the X's. He took a chisel and a hammer and he thought he can break this tumble block. His hammer broke, his chisel broke on the rock. He doesn't know what to do. He's stuck now. He wasted time and he's standing there. So now this is an image. In truth, the person saw the Isser, but he got enticed and he fell for it. Now he feels terrible because he knows, as the Zohar said this week, he just lost because the neshama, which is a parcel of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, chelek eloi tamimah. This is a parcel, a piece of HaKadosh Baruch Hu from up there. A true piece from HaKadosh Baruch Hu won't stay when the tumah will inhabit that person. So first thing is, his whole nefesh ruach neshama go, and another one comes from the Malach HaMaves. Why? Because the Malach HaMaves want to be able to pull the rings. He is at that time a dead in, how do you say in English? She will decide. So basically, we have a cloud. Kol ha'omed lisaref, anything that's meant and awaiting being burnt, it's like it's burnt already. Anyone it's in the hand of the Malach HaMaves and is doomed to be killed, it's like he's killed already. He's dead. So where our Kohen is playing a game. Lenefesh, Lo yitama be'amal. We know we're talking about a nefesh. We know we're talking about the 3 lines coming down. What is the Kohen? The Zohar says something extremely harsh. He says a Kohen that's going to bless the Bnei Yisrael and does not know the kavanas of Birkas Kohanim, his Birkas Kohanim is nothing. It's like, he didn't bless. This blessing is worthless. What is the Kohen supposed to do during his Birkas Kohanim? He's attaching the Bnei Yisrael to a higher, he goes extremely high. He goes to Ari Chanpin, to the Keser. At that moment, he's going to bring a level of Kedusha to the world that only the Kohen has this power. When a person used to live in the dark, was not seeing the dirt in his room and everything, you understand he was not cleaning up. But now someone installed electricity and turned the light on. All of a sudden, he sees the stain on himself. Even the smallest stain pops out and he feels disgust. Right away, he's me'orer the tshuva in the person. Indirectly, the Kohen is in charge for Bnei Yisrael to do tshuva on their avoidance. No, the Kohen doesn't go into their house and knock on the door. Please, if you do the chet, bring your chatas to the Beis Hamikdash. We're waiting you. We are there and waiting for you to do tshuva. No, he doesn't do that. He doesn't even tell the person that brings Kohanim was speaking very when Salmai, the king of Egypt, sent one of his people, I forgot his name, to Elazar HaKohen HaGadol in order to demand that he send 72 of the sages of the Bnei Yisrael, in other words, the Sanhedrin, in order to translate the Torah in Greek. And he put them in 72 different rooms, you know the story, and everyone thought exactly the same thing, and they translated word for word exactly. However, in the letter that this messenger wrote, he says, when I arrived to Eretz Yisrael, Elazar HaKohen received me very nicely and told me to stay a few days in his house and so forth. And I went around the city. It's so beautiful, but the accent is on the Beis Hamikdash. He says, the Kohanim are working at a speed and with a strength that's unseen in human beings. He says, one, it's a huge building. One could be on one hand of the building. The other one is on the other hand of the building. And he throws him a bull from one side of the building to the other side, and the guy catches it like if it was feathers. He says, this, I don't understand. He says, it's nonstop, like little bees, budding everywhere, the Kohanim. There's not a sound in the Beis Hamikdash. Kohanim know their task. They don't need to tell the other guy, do this or do this. Everyone knows exactly what. Bilchishu. They work very quietly. That's why the Zohar says also here, Emor, which is said, but Rashi brings it, say it, but don't say it with a sound. Say it like you speak to the ear. You murmur to it. Because Kohanim, that's the way they work. Okay. Because they work like this in Beis Hamikdash, I have to speak to them outside the Beis Hamikdash that way too. Only in the Beis Hamikdash they work that way, not outside. So why do I have to murmur to them? The Kohen when a Ben Israel, put it that way, when a Ben Israel is doing anything, it's always because somewhere the Kohen did something. A Ben Israel thinks that when he does, when he was trapped by the other side and he awoke himself, just with his own conscience and everything. No, it's not because of this. It's because the Kohanim were very meticulous about the Kedusha, so they were somehow reconnecting when he made a chet, he attached himself to the tree of death. We saw it last Shabbos in the shir. When someone makes a mitzvah, he attached himself to the Etz HaChaim. In other words, when a person is attached to the Etz HaChaim, he's also made out of 10 spheres, 10 attributes of Kedusha. When he's attached to the tree of death, he's also made of 10 spheres, but of Tuma. And they have a name in the Zohar. They're not called the same name as the Kedusha. What is a Kohen doing? If you take the word where everyone and their friends have a difficulty explaining, Emor ve'amata, some say be Kaddish is one, and don't defile yourself is two. So in two tzivuim, that's why it says Emor ve'amata. Some say it's because you have to be Kaddish now, and you will be Kaddish after Mashiach. That's why also it's two different ways. Let's go our way. I'm going to write it down for you, because this is a tremendous yesod for the Shabbos year also, and we have to understand this. Who is the Kohen? The Kohen is not just another Jew. Amor ve'omar. You see, in the pasuk it says Amor el HaKohanim, Amor ve'omar. So we want, why this repetition? Amor ve'omata equals 888. Easy number, right? It could be Nefesh Ruach Neshama to the Bina, which is the 8 from the bottom, elevation, and it's true. And it's a right shot. But what I want to show you that 8 times Aleph. Who's Aleph? The Keser. Basically, the Kohen, in other words, Moshe Rabbeinu told the Kohanim, you are going to be in charge of taking the Bnei Yisrael and take them through all, rebuild them for Yesod. Sorry, for Malchus. Exactly like the Omer, but in bigger. When the Metzora, we learned about the Metzora. When the Metzora was sick, from leprosy. Why? Because he spoke Lashon Hara. Who was rebuilding him completely, we've learned? It's the Kohen. We have, again, the two opposites here, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu told them. We have Nega Soras equals 888. In other words, this tells me that the Kohen has the power to take someone who fell to the lower bottoms, the bottoms of the bottoms, and bringing him back all the way to the 8th Midah, which is the Bina, all the way to the Keser of the Bina. Bina being the Olam HaTshuva, the world of Tshuva. And who can he do this to? Rebuilding the whole person, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. The Kohen has this capacity Now we need to know how, but at least now we start saying, framing the Kohen, understanding the building blocks around him, that his mission, his purpose in Am Yisrael is rebuilding people. Rebuilding any Ben Yisrael that got enticed by the other side and that fell. And he can rebuild it. Now, if we take, we say that this language is only here in the Torah, nowhere else. Okay, so it means something is hiding behind those words. And since we have a big problem with the Kohen, we're going to try to take those words and dissecate them. This equals 402. Ha-beracha, and I think it's ha-klala. When they were in Har Gerizim, who Moshe Rabbeinu took responsible for the bracha and the klala? The Kohen. And here we find exactly what is going to be said in Parshas Re'eh here. What it means, the only one that can deal with the other side are the Kohen. Do you remember the shir on Parashat Tazria? It's not this year, it was last year, on the nega of the bais, that when someone sees that a white stain comes on the walls of the house, there was a marking zohar that I can never forget. He says, even the Targum Yonasan says, who is there? Yes, we know the story that there's money and treasure and whatever, but who is that white stain? It's a shed. Why is he moving? Because he cannot look at the Kohen. The Kohen has such a Kedusha that he cannot look at it. So he's scared, he's turning around all the time. The Kohen sees him, and he sees the Kohen. The Ben Israel cannot see them. I told them on the Shir al Shabbos, if a pigeon was flying at the height of an eagle, and the eagle was telling the pigeon, oh, I see some grains down there at this spot. Go get them. The pigeon says, you're a liar. I don't see them. Why? Yes, both are basically saying the truth, but it doesn't change the reality that there are grains at that place. The pigeon cannot see them because he cannot see from 2 miles up, but the eagle can see. So you have to know that there is a power that's stronger than our power. And who is he? The Kohen. He can foresee. He can see the shed and not be afraid. But the Ben Israel cannot see the shed. And he has to call the Kohen. Now, we see that the Kohen now with Ha-beracha Klala is holding the 2 strings of the whole entire world from one end to the other. And once someone falls to the left, the Kohen has the power to bring him back to the right. In other words, the Kohen are the elevators of the world. Whenever you need to go to an upper floor, you take an elevator. The only one that can elevate is the Kohen. No one else. How is the Kohen doing this? We said it's like not doing you justice. I'm I'm holding back not to tell you, to give you the pasuk of Shlomo HaMelech, because I don't want to go for another shir for another hour. But Shabbos, we're going to delve into it. Kisifse Kohen Yishmeru Das. Sifse Kohen, the lips of the Kohen, Shlomo HaMelech, refers dafka to the mouth of the Kohen. How is the Kohen benching the Bnei Yisrael? Through his mouth. The Kohen, his power, the worst affliction is negatzaras. The Sefer Yetzirah, to mention him again, he says there is no higher than oineg and no lower than nega. Sorry, it's nega hatzaras. So because nega, we mentioned that before, is the same oisios as oineg, but there are two extremes. Oineg is all the way at top, nega is all the way at the bottom. Who do we go to when there's a nega? To the Kohen. How is the Kohen removing the nega? Oh, we don't know, but he does. The Torah says he has to do a whole procedure. Shecht a bird into a kli with water, a live water, to call it that way, and then dip the bird, the living bird, inside there like a funny. No. The Kohen turns nega into oineg. It's all in the letters. Now we have hatzaras. What is he doing with the leprosy? He turned it like this. Ace, Retzi. The Kohen has the power to change the order. So the Kohen, when he sees someone, he knows already what was his sin. He doesn't need to be to the people to tell him this. But his function is not just to know and create, to make it a gossip. It's to be able to, like when you go to a doctor and he cures the body, a Kohen cures the soul. How does he cure the soul? He has the chokhmah of knowing how to change order of the letters. And he recreates the person. So we know Sarah from the Baal Shem becomes Reitze. The person was a Tsar, had a Sarah. And he recreates him completely. The proof is Ace equals 470 equals 10 times Yud K Vav K plus 10 times Aleph Yud Hey K Ye. The Yud K of the Shem. 470 is basically the magical number that recreates a whole entire person in the Kedusha. Who does this? The Kohen. Behind those little funny, I want to say, I don't want to use the word funny, it's not funny, but this appearance of being strange behavior of dipping and doing and spraying blood, the Kohen, all he does, he changes. This is a procedure. All he does is a procedure to change the person from the Tumah to the Kedusha by changing the order of the letters. That's the Chokhmah. And then he attaches him back to his source. And this, he takes him from the lower of the lower. Because if we take Amalek in full, we have Ayin, Mem, Lamed, Kuf. And how true this is, Ayin Mem equals 10 times Yud K Vav K. Lamed Kuf equals 10 times K. And you believe this in the right order. To tell you, and who's Amalek? Who's his mother? The Lily. So she is there. And the Kohen can fight her. The Malach HaMaves, this is the Koyach of Gdusha. He can go all the way up to the Malach HaMaves and fight her. Lenefesh lo yitam. When he's going to deal with the nefesh to go down to the lily, all the way down to the Gehinam to bring him up, there, he's not going to become Tameh. Only to touch a goof, he will become Tameh. Now you understand how the words of the Torah are exactly what they seem to be. Lenefesh lo yitama be'amav. Whenever he's going to see in his people, which is the Bnei Yisrael, he's going to see a nefesh that lost himself, that lost his ways, and now went to the other side, to go down after it, to try to raise it up from the bottom of the bottoms. Lo itama. With this he can do. He's not going to become Tom. So no fluffy things in the pasuk. The pasuk told us lenefesh lo itama be'amav. It was 551. Exactly nefesh. We're talking about the nefesh. So when the pasuk says lenefesh, don't come and tell me kvetches that we talk about a mace. We're not talking about a mace. We're talking about the mission. So that's why we have two sayings here. One saying that the responsibility of Kohanim in Klal Yisrael, that they are responsible, they are the shepherds, they are the leaders showing the way when Bnei Yisrael are misguided or they lost their path, or whatever. They are the one to bring the flock together, under the light of Hashem through the Birkas Kohanim. And the second warning, but Moshe Rabbeinu tells them that you cannot achieve that goal unless you're very meticulous about this Kedusha. That's why Lenefesh Lo Itama is first, and that's why Kedoshim Tiyu is second. So with that, we answered the Zohar, we answered the Tanchuma, and I believe this is that was without it here. Lenefesh Lo Itama only is 551. And if we take, now if I was going to do it that way, to say, okay, that's a nice word, we like it, but, can you give us another proof? Like something like, it's not enough, what I told you guys, right? This equals 680, a number we saw last week. We saw it Shabbos in this year, and I'm sure no one remembers. So I'm going to tell you 10 times. Everything is 10. The Kohen rebuilds the person and returns him to the Eitz HaChaim. From there, he has Chaim Elyonim. A Jew doesn't live like a God. A Jew draws his lifeline from a different place. And that's what the Torah tells him. Moshe Rabbeinu says, when you're going to go after, when you go, and I can bring you 10 more proof. I'm just looking at, when you're going to go after Jews that are completely lost their way, completely, and they are in the middle of the tumah, you're going to say, please, Rabbi, hey, you told us to be very meticulous about our Kedusha, but we know, we learned it last week, that people that misspeak, that speak badly, which tumah jumps on them? Tumah snida, which is the most dangerous tumah. How can we approach those people? Their tumah will jump on us. Pasuk added, Bnei Aharon. What's Bnei Aharon? It's 318. Ruach Mesa'ava, Ruach Tuma. Ruach Tuma is scared. On everyone he will jump, this tumah, besides on the Kohanim, because doesn't want to mess around with the Kohanim. Even the mother of the mother there, the Lili, doesn't mess around with the Kohen. The Kohen had the Nishmasa Kadishta, comes from a much higher place than all the Nishamis. And she doesn't want to start with him. Because as soon as the Kohen start with something, automatically HaKadosh Baruch Hu is behind him, give him Siyata Dishmael, the oil, and they can't stand by the light, these people. They'd rather take off. That's why whenever now Lenefesh Lo Yitama is fully explained. Even though the Metzoira Vehuva El HaKohen, it's a mitzvah on every Ben Israel. Ask the Zoyar, what didn't it say Uva El HaKohen? The person wants to heal, let him come to the Kohen. No, nobody remains Tomei in the Bnei Israel. Vehuva, the other Jews then have a chiyuv to bring him to the Kohen, because only the Kohen can remove this Ruach Hatuma, because he's Bnei Aharon. That's why the Torah wanted to hint that by changing the order, the only place in the Torah that the order, you can see the Rachaim HaKodesh also has a way to answer this, but I'm going to say my vote is better, but we have a way we understand things, and I know we like, it's mathematical, it fits in the words exactly. Lenefesh lo yitama. Whenever you're going to go after a nefesh that sold himself, even with Tumas Nida, he won't be able to solve you. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.